Welcome everyone to the name game. I will introduce myself and tell you a little bit about how it works, and then we'll let Paige and Sharyn introduce themselves, and then we'll get started playing the name game. So I'm Jeff Sass. I'm the former co-founder and CMO of .club Domains, which we recently sold to GoDaddy, and I'm currently the CMO of paw.com, and I'm the author of the book, Everything I Know About Business and Marketing I Learned from the Toxic Avenger. But tonight, I am one of the co-hosts for the name game. And the name game is a lot of fun and very simple. Raise your hand, we'll bring you up on stage, and when it's your turn to play, we ask you to tell us just the name of your business and your domain name. Please don't tell us what you do. Don't tell us about the products you sell or the vertical that you're in. Just the name of your business and your domain name. And then Sharyn, Paige, and I are going to try to guess what you do, guess what your business is, just based on the strength of your brand name and your domain name. And then you'll have a chance to reveal what you actually do and tell us how our guessing did. So you'll have a chance to tell us a little bit about your business and what you do. And then we'll give you some feedback as to what we think about your branding and your domain name. And why do we do this? It's a cluttered world out there. There's a lot of competition. You're competing for people's attention. And we believe that if your brand name, if your domain name gives an indication to people about what you do, you might have a slight edge in attracting the right customers or the right potential customers to your business and make it easier for them to find you. So that's what it's all about. It's a lot of fun. We hope you'll join us and play. With that, I'll hand it off to Sharyn and Paige, and raise your hand, and I'll start bringing you up while Sharyn and Paige are introducing themselves. Please mute yourself when you get to the stage. And the last thing I'll mention is this is the name game on Startup Club. We're recording this show. You can find recordings of the name game and other shows over at startup.club, which is the website for Startup Club. You can sign up for our mailing list to be kept informed. And of course, we have replays turned on. So if you're here in Clubhouse, you can listen to and share the replay of the name game. Thanks. Sharyn or Paige?
I was waiting for Paige. Okay, I'll go. Hi, I'm Sharyn Konyak. I have spent a lot of time on the side of brands, both from an agency standpoint as a consultant, building brands, building brand images, and helping them tell their stories. And I am now a story consultant and brand strategist for startups and entrepreneurs who are looking for ways to break into the marketplace, and they want to tell a compelling story to their customers, one that's going to get them noticed, remembered, and ultimately that's going to get them customers. And those customers are willing to buy from them and do it again and again and eventually become brand evangelists. I'm here to help out with the guessing and perhaps give some branding advice or some advice on taglines if that's necessary or appropriate.
Thanks, Sharyn. My name is Paige Howe. I'm an investor. I've been on the side of raising money for companies and representing investors. I'm working for a family office for 10 years. So I've heard a lot of pitches and presentations, and hopefully I can bring some of that to bear to benefit our guest. And secondly, I've been buying and selling domain names for about 25 years. And I think many times you have this special thing called a domain name that's both your functional address online for your company and is quite a bit involved with your branding and first impression. So hopefully I can be a resource for everybody and share with you some of the ways that your domain name could be better or what's great about it. So thanks.
Thank you, Paige. Thank you, Sharyn. So we'll get started. Remember, if you want to be a contestant on the name game, just raise your hand and we'll bring you up there. We typically will go in the order of people on stage. And if the stage starts getting crowded, we might move people to the audience after they're done playing the name game. So with that, let's get started. And let's see, Sharyn, Paige, and I. Sharyn, why don't you go first? Then Paige will go second, and I'll go third, and then we'll keep rotating through like we did last time, so we don't have to fight over who goes next. Welcome, Tiara. Welcome to the name game. Tell us just the name of your business and your domain name.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. First off, my business name is Red Eye Conglomerate. Red Eye Conglomerate. The URL is redeyecg. So that's RED, the letter I, CG.com.
Sharyn, Red Eye Conglomerate, Red Eye CG.
Red Eye, Red. So it was redicg.com,
Correct.
correct? That was the domain. Red Eye. I'm gonna go. Wow, Red Eye Conglomerate. I'm going to go with a marketing company. I'm gonna spin the wheel. I think already. First one out of the gate. Paige, I'm spinning the wheel already. I think I'm going to go with it's a marketing company, and you are a marketing firm that social media marketing that helps companies look at their social media marketing platforms to see which ones can work the best for them, function the best for them, and provide the best results.
Gotcha. Tiara, thanks for joining today. I didn't realize we had the CEO and chairman of a conglomerate with us today. I like that. It's impressive. I picture all these people behind you, and I think conglomerate, was a go-go days of the 60s and 70s term that kind of got a bad name, but the original idea was that you had multiple businesses and they could each protect the rest of the companies from any downturns. There'd always be something working. And I think back to the conglomerates that really, it's funny because, and I know I'm taking a while here, Jeff, but now I feel like everyone's competing with everyone, but it was the conglomerates that were so big that they were sponsoring TV shows, sponsoring sports teams, and just so big that they could do everything. But Red Eye Conglomerate, I actually first thought it was Red EYE, so I was going to go, we work all night for you. So now we've got Red Eye Conglomerate, and I'm going to spin the wheel, or I'm going to guess Red Eye. I'm going to spin the wheel. I'm going to go with NFTs. It's a new metaverse world. The Red Eye. It's on Mars. It's a metaverse on Mars. You're the conglomerate that developed Mars. What do you think, Jeff?
Okay, so first of all, the red eye, obviously from a radio test, you'll have to always explain it because I originally wrote down red EYE, but from a visual perspective, I can only imagine an awesome logo where the eye is actually red. So you've got that red eye. I too like the word conglomerate very much. It has that if I were an evil villain, I would want to be the head of a conglomerate, I'm sure. Paige, you were close to what I was thinking, so I'm going to take it in a little bit of a different direction. I did feel like the red eye had something to do with Web3. So since Paige took the metaverse route, I'm going to say that the Red Eye conglomerate is actually a DAO. I think one could think of a conglomerate as a DAO. So the Red Eye conglomerate is a DAO, and you are building that conglomerate following the Web3 principles and the disintermediated management of a DAO. So I'm going to say Red Eye conglomerate is a DAO. So that's my guess.
Tiara, how'd we do? What does Red Eye Conglomerate do?
Well, you guys gave me lots of cool ideas. I hope that I can measure up to the coolness that was. But we are actually a company. We team up with cannabis influencers. We have a few of our own cannabis products. Really, right now, just rolling papers and cones, blunts, things of that nature. We're geared towards pulling people away from tobacco and highlighting the cannabis influence within the industry. So, very close, very cool ideas, though. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Awesome. Now that we know what it is, Paige or Sharyn, any thoughts about the red eye and its ties to cannabis? Tiara, do you have a tagline or a kind of a catchphrase that you use along with red eye?
Right now, it's Red Eye Take Flight. Yeah, and that's just based on the products that we do offer. The fact that the rolling cones and the things that you would use to ultimately take flight, quote unquote.
So is there, I'll ask one more question and then I'll let the Paige speak. Is there a story behind the choice of the red eye? Like, is there some hidden meaning that we should know or that you would share as part of that story?
So you were right as far as the logo. As far as the logo goes, it's a very simple black and white eyeball with the center actually being red. There's 7 lashes on it, and the idea is we work day and night through the night to accomplish whatever the ultimate goal is. And us being a conglomerate is really part of the long-term goal. of right now. The founders were a team of, I'm in law school, a future lawyer. I have a few business consultants, a couple artists, and some actual influencers online. And the goal is to team up with smaller companies that want to become big in the industry and provide them with some consulting services. So the idea being, we will stay up all day and night, get those red eyes in order to make your company succeed. And ultimately, of course, weed does get you high and make your eyes red. So a play on words.
Gotcha. I think you do a great job of representing your company. And I think I want you to hear everything I share is hoping to improve your naming and your domain name to be as good as you're presenting your company. But I think at this time, if you're still growing, you might want to really take a hard look at the red and the I and the CG, because people are just dumb like me. They're picky. And I feel like people are going to be like, why did you have red and then I, and what is Reddick? And you're like, don't you understand? We have a whole company and we're doing these wonderful things. And you'll wonder why they say that. But I just think because you're adding the CG, which is already taking your logo, so it just works for you and you alone. I'm sorry, your domain name. That I can't imagine red EYE CG was taken. And even though it's another 2 letters, it only makes your overall domain name 8 letters. But I think, especially if it's part of the story that we work all day and night for you, that redeye.com obviously would be a $100,000 domain name. So you're left with Red Eye and something else. And I just wonder if you can still be the Red Eye conglomerate, but maybe bring in that EYE, because as cool as your logo is with just the letter I, with the all seeing eye, it could be really wonderful. And you could even do Go Red Eye or Red Eye 24/7. Or maybe I think you might be able to upgrade in a way that helps you in the future.
Okay, very cool. Very cool. Just to make sure that I heard you, it sounds like you're saying the word conglomerate makes it so that it can be big enough and be expanded into something that is a little more understandable than just the I.
I think what'll happen is, so red eye is the base of your branding, and it does seem like it has to do with the EYE, a red eye, like you say, from working all night or the effects of cannabis. And I just feel like because you're going to be red eye and then something else, then you have to rank conglomerate being maybe the 50th best thing you could have. Like Red Eye Media would be one, Red Eye Cannabis, Red Eye CBD or something. So there's lots of choices now that you're in the 3-word space. That's what I call it. You've gone to 3 words and you want to be the best you can. So I think to be the CG is an abbreviation for conglomerate, which not a lot of other people know. But I think you should at least be REDEYECG if you go that far as having the CG. That was my suggestion.
Okay, I understand. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.
Tiara, I had one other comment. I just wonder if the conglomerate, which is more of like a business designation, isn't really hindering you in this situation, and that creating the brand and using Red Eye and with the full words REDEYE doesn't do you a bigger service, because when you start adding other words that confuse the consumer about what it is you're trying to accomplish, or business designations or things like that, then I wonder if you're just creating an issue for yourself that you wouldn't need to, maybe a barrier, so to speak, with the consumer in being able to identify your brand. But that's just my feeling.
That makes sense, Sharyn. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you, Tiara. Thank you for playing the name game, and keep up that all night work at Red Eye. And we appreciate you joining us tonight. So, Paige, it's going to be your turn to go first now. Let's go to Charles next. Charles, welcome to the name game. Remember, just tell us the name of your business and your domain name.
Hello, the name of my business is Optimize Curacao, and the domain name is optimizecuracao.com.
All right. I'm going to go. I got to fix my wheel because it could have given me cannabis last time. But Optimize Curacao, I'm going to assume it's the country. Optimize Curacao. And so I'm left with travel or services Maybe you're an advocacy company. People can have their offshoring work done in Curacao. So I'm going to go with media, graphic, internet consulting based in Curacao. OptimizeCuracao.com. You say what you do and where you are. So that'll be my guess. Sharyn or Jeff?
Okay, since you took the travel angle, I'm glad you clarified it was Curacao because I didn't quite get it when Charles mentioned what that second word was. So I'm going to go down more of the literal digital marketing angle with the word optimize. So I'm going to say that Optimize Curacao is a digital marketing, SEO, social media agency targeting small businesses in Curacao. So you're helping local businesses, whether that's the local laundromat or hardware store or any kind of local business in Curacao, you're helping them optimize their digital presence. That's going to be my guess. Sharyn.
I'm going to take a little bit of detour off of Paige and the travel idea, and I'm going to say that Optimize Curacao gives you opportunities to, if you wanted to go to Curacao and you wanted to stay there, say as an expat, or spend some time there, spend an extended period of time there, that Optimize Curacao gives you a format for an Airbnb, but really specifically related to Curacao itself. It's a little bit different, I think, than the travel. Hopefully, it's my own lane. That's what I'm sticking with.
Charles, how did we do?
Well, Jeffrey, you hit the nail on the head. We are your number one SEO web design agency in Willemstad, Curacao.
Awesome. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, so basically we do web design, SEO marketing. I specialize in Google, my business optimization, web SEO for web design, website optimization, basically search engine. Market your business. We do what it takes to get your business in front.
Hey, Charles, I'm a little curious. Can you just spend a minute, maybe, Jeff, if we have time? Tell me a little about Curacao.
Well, Curacao is basically very close on the border of Venezuela. Clearly, we are very close in the region of Curacao, Trinidad, Bonaire. We speak Dutch. They also have a local dialect on the island, what they consider papiamento. It sounds a little bit Latin like Spanish. It's very hot, desert land sometimes, and also very windy.
Fantastic. You've got me intrigued. And I think there's something about either how you say your name or just your general attitude that comes off as very positive. I just feel like the optimized Curacao. It does sound like a pro Curacao thing, and so I think you've done yourself really well. I think it's really a good name for your business functionally, but also branding. When you speak it, I think it's just so positive that people might want to be involved with you just because of how it sounds.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much. And we do have a lot of clients locally and also internationally as well.
And I
Our
will,
furthest client is basically in Dubai. We market for our hospital there. So people just like, we basically do what it takes to push the business. Like, we go all out. We check what's needed. We check what keyword is needed. Taglines. Our tagline is "Get Seen," so we make sure your business is get seen. Like, whatever you have to market and promote, we tell you how to go about it. If you need to have a one-on-one, no problem. We're gonna spend the time and we're gonna make sure come in, and if we have to revamp your site, make it user friendly, we're gonna just do what it takes, basically.
Well, reach out to me. Maybe I'll use you for a couple sites. I just have a good feeling about you. So follow me and reach out to me. Go ahead, Jeff.
and
Okay,
I
I
was
will.
just going to say I can vouch firsthand that Curacao is beautiful. I actually went there for my honeymoon when I got
Oh,
married.
nice.
When I got married many years ago, and I'm no longer married, but that was no reflection on the honeymoon whatsoever. But yeah, it was a beautiful place, and we had a beautiful time. And in addition to staying at a lovely resort, I remember
Oh,
we
nice.
rented a moke, one of these like Jeep-like vehicles, I think it was called a moke or something
Yeah,
like that. And we
yeah.
drove around the island, and it was a lot of fun.
You see, if you was coming to get married now, my wife have a dessert shop in the mall. We do wedding cakes as well, and we also arrange weddings, event planning, and I myself handle drones, live streaming, and media as well. So we could have handled the whole
Maybe then I would have still been married had I done that with you.
wedding.
Now that is an entrepreneur. We can have the catering for your wedding,
Yep.
provide the entertainment,
Yep.
and then get you on the first page of Google at the same point
And
for
we have
one
the cleanup.
package price.
And we have a small cleanup business as well. So we just bring in the cleanup crew when it finish.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Charles. Everyone, I want to remind you this is the name game on Startup
You're
Club.
welcome.
If you want to come up here and play the name game, please raise your hand. We're happy to bring you up. And then next up is Jeremy. And I think it's my turn to go first, Paige and Sharon. So I'll take a crack at whatever Jeremy says. Jeremy, welcome to the name game. Let us know just the name of your business and your domain name.
All right. Thanks for having me on. The name is Collectors League, and the domain name is collectorsleague.com.
Okay, Collectors League and collectorsleague.com. First of all, congrats on getting that exact match.com. Collectors League
And that,
is
that icon is my logo.
okay, cool, very cool. So definitely a league looking logo. Very, yeah, so very collectible. So I'm gonna go Collectors League. First of all, I like the name very much, and I like they're two words. It's a little bit long, yet they're two words that are easy to understand. Most people, I think, will spell them correctly, and they're intriguing together. League has a lot of different connotations around community and team and participation. I feel all of those things. So I'm going to say that the Collectors League is actually an NFT. Sorry, Paige, an NFT platform because you got the collecting angle with NFTs, but also it's more than that. And maybe League also can indicate competition. So maybe it's more of a game around NFTs. So there's some kind of competitive angle to collecting NFTs, being part of the Collectors League, and maybe there's some kind of point systems and some cool benefits built into the smart contracts that inure to the benefit of members of the Collectors League. So that's where I'm going to go.
Jeffrey, I can't believe you stole NFT. The wheel was still spinning and it was about to land right on NFT for me. But I am going to go with, I'm looking at your logo, Jeremy, so this might be a little bit cheating, but I'm looking at it and it's feeling very Texas to me, the Lone Star State. So I'm feeling like Collectors League might have to do with something related to Texas. And I'm going to say that since I can't take NFT, I'm going to take that you support maybe a lot of the Texas teams, whether it's college football or pro football or any of the other sports. I guess baseball. I'm not sure if that's the limit of my understanding of Texas related teams. So forgive me if there's other like hockey or anything. I don't think there are, but yeah, Texas teams, and it's for people who want to collect memorabilia related to Texas teams. And so Collectors League is.
Gotcha. Well, as Jeff said, I think it's great to have the two-word brand and then the two-word domain name. And there's just something about it. It's almost like we're all out there with our mental synapses and we can only handle two thoughts. And so when you are Collectors League and it's just two thoughts, I keep wanting to play them off against each other, Collectors League. And I just really think you've done yourself well by doing that. So I am a collector. I've collected sports stuff, trinkets, digital goods, and everything. So Jeff threw in the whole kitchen sink there. But there's been a thing around for a while called registries where people can collect certain baseball cards and then they can say there's an ultimate list of all the Star Wars collectibles you could have or all the baseball collectibles you could have. And then you collect one because you like the things, but then it becomes a competition. But then I was stuck with League because collectors don't want to work well together. They don't want to play on the same team because if there's one, it's going to be mine and not yours. But a collector site that is a forum, and I'm going to go with League like there was an old movie back in the 90s, way back in the 90s, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So I'm going to go with the League being like a club. So it's really a collector's club. Jeremy, how do we do? Tell us about Collectors League.
It's not an NFT thing. In general, you touched on pieces of it, each one of you. But my background is in trading cards and other collectibles. And it's a software platform that focuses on advancing the collecting hobbies, trust, and positivity. And so basically, I'm working on being the Better Business Bureau for all collecting. So the interactions at card shows and interactions with websites, the trades, the deals, becoming the official SIL and company that basically is going to bring trust. There's a lot of non-trust in the hobby, so I'm trying to find some positivity in the hobby.
Cool. So if
Cool.
I
So
was
if
at
I
a conference and went to a table that was selling some collectibles or some baseball cards and they had that Collectors League endorsement and logo, that would be telling me that this is probably a trusted source and they're not going to be counterfeit cards and that kind of stuff. Is that the idea?
Yeah, basically somewhere in that arena. It's I haven't launched it yet. I've been working on it for about a year, so getting ready to launch here shortly.
Yeah, I think it sounds neat because you'll be cross-platform. It won't be like I have an eBay feedback score. Maybe some people don't even use eBay. So how do you do it across platforms? And I guess the idea that a league is the best of the National Football League. You can go play football in the park on the weekends, or you can actually be in the league. So I think it's real good. I'll set Sharyn up when, in case I didn't know what Collectors League was going to do. Do you have a tagline or anything right underneath it that'll skew me toward like trust or integrity or something
No,
like that? And then I'll let Sharyn comment on it.
the one I was thinking about was hobby first.
Hobby first.
I mean, because there's a lot of it's doing what's right for the hobby first, and doing what's right for the collector first.
Yeah, I just wonder if the hobby first doesn't take you far enough in terms of what you're doing within the vertical. So I would love to see something more specific to the trust. If you're talking about trying to build trust and trying to build, yeah, just really build on the idea of trust, then I would think you'd want to do something along that lines. I'd have to give that a little thought. I can come back to you.
Yeah, and you did touch on it. I am in Texas, in Dallas Fort Worth, and the star there is not really was thinking Texas. I was just thinking strong and clean symbol, and the red part is the C, and the blue part is the L from Collectors League, and just trying to create a simple icon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
visually is really nice, but I think about what Sharyn said. It makes a lot of sense because putting the hobby first, it really doesn't. I think you want something that indicates that this is authorization. It's some kind of validation, just like a baseball team that's part of one of the major leagues is a professional baseball team. So someone who is selling collectibles under the collectibles league is a more professional validated business and or seller of collectibles, and if there's a way that you can indicate that, I think it would be helpful, like Sharyn said.
Yeah, I think I was thinking because again, I know hobby. I used to have three baseball card stores, and I know inside the industry we talk about the hobby. We do things for the good of the hobby, but I'm not sure that it translates as well outside. And you almost might want to just assume that a lot of that you have half of people in it because of passion, and half of people are in it because they just want to buy up stuff and maybe resell it for money. And you might as well recognize that. But what I was going to mention was, and I'm being Sharyn had any thoughts on this, because no one's done what you're doing, really, I would be really greedy about your tagline in that you don't have to worry about being confused with anybody. So you can go after words like trust and verify and the biggest and best words. Like if you said collectors ranking, trust rankings for collectors, it isn't like someone else has already grabbed that spot. You know what I mean? So you could really get exact to what it is you are because there's almost no confusion. Sharyn, does that make sense when you're on your own setting a new path that you can go back and you don't have to be so creative and use maybe esoteric words, that you can use really big, powerful words because there's really nothing to compare you to?
Yeah, I agree. Because usually when you get in this position, when you're trying to differentiate yourself, you're looking for a unique property that sets you apart. But when there's no one else out there, it's really based on what's the value and how you can lay claim to the market, especially you're going to be planting your flag in this marketplace as a disruptor or as an innovator in this marketplace. So I think that there's a lot of power in claiming verify or trust or like the premier source of, or those kinds of ideas.
Hopefully that was helpful feedback, Jeremy.
It was. I was writing some notes down.
Awesome. And Paige, I've known you for nearly a decade. I speak to you here in Clubhouse and outside of Clubhouse at least once a week. And I never knew, in addition to everything else you've done and all your accomplishments, that you actually own some baseball card stores. We'll have to hear more about that sometime.
Oh, it's a painful memory. I kept everything for 20 years and sold it all in 2018. And I missed the big boom by 2 years. Yeah. So, yeah.
I'd like to. I have a group that we have in a clubhouse that is nothing but card people. I have to invite you to come over. And we have some of the biggest people in the hobby usually in the room, the influencers and stuff, talking about the hobby.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jeremy.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys. I was happy. I've been doing branding and domain stuff myself since about 95 or so, and I was happy with what I got for the logo and the name and everything. And I kind of just started focusing on the wireframing and the software stuff, and haven't really got to the tagline. But I really enjoy your suggestions, and I definitely wrote some notes here for that. I appreciate your help.
Terrific.
Terrific.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for playing the name game. We'll go to Bala Venu next. And Sharyn, now it's your turn to go first. Bala, welcome to the name game. Remember, just tell us the name of your business and your domain name. If there, Bala Venu, unmute yourself. If you're not, we'll try to come back to you. Okay, let's go on to Jordan. Welcome to the name game.
Hello, thanks for having me. So part of my name gives a little bit away, but the name, and this is a prospective business. Feel free to give me as much advice as you want if you don't like the name or anything. But my name is Code Switch AI. So Code Switch and then AI. And then my domain name is also Code Switch AI.
Is it coldswitchai.com or coldswitch.ai, the domain?
CodeSwitchAI.com. I was looking into getting CodeSwitch.ai, but it costs a little bit more. So as a perspective, I just got the .com for right now.
Great. Sharyn, you're up. All right.
There you go. Sorry, I was having some trouble with my Jordan. I'm having a little radio problem because I wrote it as code, CODE, CH. Am I correct or incorrect?
Can you repeat? You said CODE.
Is it code,
DE.
CODE, or cold,
Oh,
COLD? I
yes.
think Sharyn was
Code.
asking.
Yeah, code as in programming, computer code. So CODE.
Code switch. Okay, computer programming. Yeah, so I'm going to go with, since it's definitively code, I'm going to go with you are a software engineering firm or a software developer that helps people write code for apps and allows, yeah, I'm just going to go with you're an app developer or a software engineering firm that helps app developers or helps app founders, people who want to create apps, develop the code for their apps so that they can get to market faster and more efficiently.
Is it me, Jeff?
Yes, it's you, Paige. We're going down the line.
I think Sharyn took a very good choice. I'm going to go something. I'm going to say it's Code Switch, but it's more of a SaaS company where you already have code written with AI, and the AI knows what I want before I even come to your site. And I hit the switch, and it turns on my entire website without me having to say anything using artificial intelligence. I just hit the switch, and everything is done the way I want, and it's already done before I get there using artificial intelligence. Codeswitch.com. I'm sorry, codeswitchai.com.
All right. Paige and Sharyn. So I'm going to go slightly different. So first of all, I like the name Code Switch. I know it's good that you got AI.com, but depending on the cost, sometimes as Paige will say, you can get payment terms. It might be cool to have the .ai as well, so that you just own that space with those words. But I'm going to say Code Switch is like Jasper for code. So Jasper, I think it's called Jasper, is one of these sites that uses AI to write blog posts and stuff for you. So you can literally give it a few seed keywords and things you'd like to have an article about, and then it will actually use AI and machine learning to write a pretty damn good blog post that almost feels like it was written by a human. So I'm going to say Code Switch AI does almost the exact same thing, but for code. So you can go to codeswitch.ai or codeswitchai.com and give some clues as to what you want. I need some software that's going to do A, B, and C, and then Code Switch will actually generate the code for you, which then you can cut and paste or compile into your program or whatever the proper nomenclature would be. I haven't done programming in many years when I learned BASIC 40 years ago. But that's my guess for Code Switch AI. So tell us how we did.
First, all you guys' ideas were awesome individually as individual ideas. The original idea for the name and the company is it's going to be a startup company looking into tackling issues with ethics in AI and bias in data through consulting and through SaaS software. We want to be able to give, like somebody mentioned, founders and new companies who can't have a team to make sure that AI is responsible and that when it's working in the world, it's going to be ethical and responsible. We're going to help come in, look at your code, look at your programs, and be able to make that fix for you. Just tackling bias and data and ethics and AI through consulting and other stuff. So
I love that idea, Jordan. I think it's definitely something that we are struggling with. There's the whole ethical dilemma in a lot of what's going on recently. You can't, it's so broad right now, you can't even point to one thing. There's the metaverse and there's politics and everything else, and we don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But the ethics of AI specifically, I think, is really super intriguing, and I would just love to see what you do with it.
Hey, Jordan, I heard what you said about .ai, and most of the time, I'm usually a fan of the adding the AI and then being the .com. And I know that .ai is expensive. I think it's $100 for 2 years. It's Antigua Islands. It's a very small country that operates the TLD. They've been somewhat erratic as to their rules. But I will say, if you are trying to do something for the good of the entire industry, that being codeswitch.ai, I think, even though it's going to be a couple $100, I think you have to register for 2 years. I think it gives you a pedigree that being one of maybe 15,000 .coms that have AI in it, I think it might set you apart when you're ready, when you've got your plan worked out and everything. I think that if you were going to be at a trade show or on a panel or on a Zoom call and it was codeswitch.ai, before people even heard about what you were doing or investigated it, I think it would give you a little prestige more than the triple.com. Now, the downside is not a lot of people know about AI outside the AI industry. And this is going to sound dumb. You wouldn't be far away from smart to use codesmartai.com for your emails and everything. So you didn't have to worry about some email server not being tuned into AI or something like that, or someone that sends you an email, they put on their code switch .ai and then people still want to put a .com. But I think for making an entry into the business, the code switch.ai would give you some prestige.
Oh, codeswitch.ai is taken, by the way.
No, there's no way it's taken. Really? Someone's artificial intelligence figured that out. I would put a monitor on it, and I predict it'll drop the next time it needs to get
Yeah,
renewed. So keep an eye on it.
September 2nd of 2020. 525 days old.
Okay, I think it's a 2-year registration. There's some registrars like Dynadot or GoDaddy has a thing called a monitor, and you can actually put a monitor on it and it'll tell you if it's dropped, or the place that you get AIs is called whois.ai. If it drops, then you can get it if it becomes available. And I would keep an eye out this September. So good luck to you.
Yeah, I
gotcha. Thank
think
you.
Jordan, I think as Sharyn said, I agree with Sharyn that the idea of consulting on ethics and software is really good, and it's an important space, and it's a space that's going to grow dramatically as more autonomous robots, vehicles, and other products come to market. So I think ethics is great. My question is, and especially given that David told us that CodeSwitch.ai is gone, is switch the best word that gets across what you're trying to do? But is there possibly some other word or phrase that brings us closer to what you want to do in terms of consulting around ethics in software? So just something to think about. But I think it's a great idea for a business, and we wish you really good luck with it.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say also that I love the AI. I love Paige's comment about the AI because that gives you the option of doing the double duty that we often talk about with domain names. It takes something out of the domain name that you don't need in terms of the three words, and it actually just puts it there as an extension. So yeah, I would be hot to look for that person or whoever dropping that and grabbing it when you can.
There is CodeSalt.ai, like consult, but a pun. CodeSalt.ai is not taken.
Yeah, I think what they were sharing, Jordan, would be if you could, if you really are about ethics or tough decisions or future or choices, because so everyone in the investor community in AI is trying to find the one words. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if all the popular one words are taken, but I think when you are going to use it as an operator of a company, I think I would just start with, like you said, code salt, but I wouldn't register it. I would just put it on a piece of paper and then say, now could I get something better, and start being greedy. You know what I mean? Maybe you can get codingethics.ai, or you can get codechoices.ai, because once you go into two words, there should be a lot more availability. But it may not be the first day you do that exercise that you find the best one. It may be after 2 or 3 days and getting 2 or 3 people involved, and all of a sudden you come up with codeshare.ai, or you come up with something where you're like, okay, that is really going to be it, and then that could really define what you're going to be later.
Gotcha. That's awesome feedback, and we're really in a space where nothing's set in stone, so I can't be flexible about changing the name or getting a different domain. So I will definitely take all the advice you guys gave me, and put it to use. Thank you for just everything.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you so much for playing the name game. And David, thanks for your little naming tips there. And now it's your turn to actually play the game. So tell us the name of your business and your domain name.
Ooh, okay. I started this. It's a branch, essentially. I work at a pharma company, and I have another job at Bitcoin Magazine that's in my bio. But the pharma company, I work on a software, and it's for COVID testing. We started it as a proof of concept.
But
And
you're telling us too much information. Now we're not going to be able, it's going to be too easy to
right.
guess. Just tell us the name and the domain name.
Okay. All right. So the domain name is labport.app. And yeah,
Labport.app. Labport.app.
yeah, lab like laboratory, and port.app.
Okay, Paige, I think was it your turn to go first now?
Sure, I'll go first. Labport.app. I like the short 7 letters, even though you're a 2-word, just really easy to Labport. It makes me think, I think most of us that have ever had anything done by LabCorp, it looks about the same length, and it looks like I think people will recognize it. I'm going to go with portable. So I'm going to go with some type of portable lab. We come to you, LabPort. And then I'll talk about the .app later. But LabPort, I'm going to just go off the name of your company, some type of portable lab. We come to you to do testing. Sharyn or Jeff?
Okay, I'll go. If I were going to guess, I would say I'm going to stick in that vertical because it doesn't seem like that would be a wise decision not to, that it's lab related. But I'm going to say that because it's a .app, it gives you a portable, there's other people in this market, but like my chart and things like that, but it gives you a place to keep all your lab results. And you can get your lab results delivered directly into this app. And so if you have blood work or something else that you have to have done, you just go ahead and open up this app and it gives you all your lab results in one place. And then this way you can manage them and use them give them to your doctor or whatever you need to do with them.
All right.
I guess.
So I'm going to go. So I feel like I'm slightly cheating only because, David, you mentioned COVID-19 testing in your little preamble. But I'm going to say, obviously, since it's a .app, I'm going to say it's an app. And I think that labport.app actually is this app that's your portal to find out where the nearest location is to you to get your COVID test, because I know it's been a real challenge for people to get tests. And yes, the government now has sent us each 4 home tests if you set up, but sometimes you're really looking for that PCR test that really goes through the lab. And so LabPort is an app that is going to help me find the nearest place and the quickest appointment for that COVID PCR test. That's going to be my guess, with a little bit of potential cheating because you mentioned COVID-19.
Yeah, that's fair. It's pretty close. What it does, it's just manages the COVID testing procedures from A to Z. So we've probably, you guys probably seen it, but we've been using it a lot at events and stuff. So it's been deployed in Vegas, and it's one of the fastest SaaSes I've ever started in my life. We already have 19,000 patients tested on the platform, and it's tested around about 70 or 80,000 tests. So it's growing massively very quickly. We only started this like in July of last year, but it manages the entire COVID testing. So you register and then you get your results in a text message and an email. So portal, that was the port in LabPort, and lab was laboratory. But yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it was interesting because I think when you have a two-word name, usually it's I want to see the first word as a verb and the second as a noun. So I was thinking a port like an IV port or something, but that's like, who wants a port? So I didn't go there. I didn't think about portal. But let me ask you a question. I'm looking at my tests here that I got from Amazon a month or two ago, thinking they were going to be short. And I have the one I do myself or the one I mail away. It sounds like you're one of them I mail away, or can I actually self-report but have it be in an app so it somehow looks like it's super official or something like that? How's that work, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I don't mind. So basically, how it works is we created LabPort for events to manage what's happening because, yeah, okay, you can get an antigen test, but it's only for you. You're seeing results, and we don't know if you're lying or not. So basically, the event staff or the company staff or whoever is deploying the software doesn't know your result. So when you register to LabPort, not only you get tested and you get your own result, but also the event staff members, they also get, oh, this person tested positive, this person tested negative, and so on and so forth.
I think it's terrific, and I think when we're in this hybrid area of testing taking the place of mandates, sometimes that it's got to be going great. And how exciting to have it grow so fast. I think that who pays? Does the customer pay or does the event pay? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, so no payment involved. We just charge their insurance, and that's all. So that's
Gotcha.
why all it takes is a couple sales guys. They call it our leads, and basically they tell them like, "Oh, we can do X, Y, and Z," and guess how much it costs? And they're like, "I don't know, $5 to test or something." And be
Yeah.
like, "No, it's free. You can't get better than that."
Isn't it great when your ultimate buyer, because for you, the event is the buyer, because then they're going to be telling everybody you need to go to this place to do it. Isn't it great when your decision maker doesn't have to pay
It's
anything? What a
beautiful,
great business.
amazing. Yeah, that's why it grows so fast.
Oh,
Very
fantastic.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Paige, you were going to say something about the .app name.
Yeah. So .app, I thought would be much more successful out there than it is. It was started. It's run by Google actually, and they have some requirements. You have to be a secure site, and they do give you a little bit of preference in your speed ranking and things like that. And I thought when it came out that the idea of a progressive web app would really take hold, where you could be an app, but you didn't have to be in the App Store with even Google or Apple's App Store. And then I thought when this privacy thing hit, where Apple was talking about how much they wanted to restrict apps from collecting things, I just thought that it might get some more traction, but I feel like Google doesn't really publicize it in a way. If it was a startup, if .app was a startup, I think you would see a lot of the benefits as expounded on. You'd see, like Jeff, what you guys did with .club. There'd be people waking up in the morning going, how do we introduce .app to the world in a way that helps all the app registrants, like you did with .club? So I think it's perfect. It matches what you do. But man, they could have done so much with it. But I think it's going to work well for you.
Thank
And they
you.
paid, if I remember correctly, Paige, Google paid $21 million for the rights to dot app. It was either 21 or 23 million, if I remember correctly. So they paid a hunk of change, maybe not a hunk of change for Google, but a hunk of change for most businesses for those rights. And I tend to agree with you. The potential, I think, is much greater than what's been realized thus far.
You can blame Apple for the PWAs not being too mainstream because they were trying to push their app clips. We're a total web app, by the way. Laport is a complete web app because I didn't want to deal with the mess of Apple App Store and Google Play.
I congratulate for that, where you own your data, you own your relationship, you know what I mean? And I just really think that's the way of the future. And yeah, whether Google spent 23 million just to protect their Google Play, because I shouldn't have to go to Google Play to get your app. So I love that you did it as a web app. I think it's
Yeah, and payments. We didn't have to worry about payments because I have friends in the apps space as well, and they hate payments because it has to go through Apple, and then on Androids it has to go through Google, and then on the web they have to go through their own merchant, and it's a mess. You have to consolidate on the user's end so it's seamless regardless on which payment method you use. But now we're just collecting payments on the web, so it's beautiful. It's amazing.
Well, that's great, David. Thank you, and good luck with the business. Although it sounds like you don't need the good luck, it's taking off on its own. And another interesting example of opportunities for entrepreneurs that arose from the pandemic. And as things happen, for every crisis, there's always opportunities for those who have their eyes open and can seize them. Congratulations to you on that. We're at the top of the hour. Paige and Sharyn, another great episode of The Name Game. As always, we heard some really interesting business ideas at various stages, from just ideas forming to established businesses with some real traction. It was great to have these conversations, and I want to thank everyone who came up on stage and played the name game, and especially everyone who's in the audience listening. We hope that you found some value, entertainment, and inspiration from these discussions. Paige or Sharyn, any final remarks from either of you?
I guess Mark from Meta didn't come back this week, but he's welcome next week if we can help him out. Wink, wink. Yeah, see you next week, Jeff.
Sharyn, any final remarks before we close out the room?
Yeah, a great room as usual. And if you enjoyed it, please join me and Jeff over on Lead With Your Story on Monday nights at 6 o'clock. That's also on Startup Club. It's a fun, a little bit different, but it's still fun. We ask you to come share your story with us. And if you were listening, you heard everybody had a story related to their brand, right? And harnessing that story and taking it to the next level is really what's going to make you stand out in the marketplace. You get 3 minutes to come over and tell us your story. And at the end, the timer rings and we give you some feedback. We give you some tips and hopefully some inspiration to take your story to the next level. So we'd love to see you over there.
Great. And Paige won't say it, he's too modest, but in addition to managing investing money and formerly operating a number of baseball card stores and being one of the leading people in the domain industry, as such, Paige also manages Domain Club here on Clubhouse, and he hosts a number of really informative rooms over at Domain Club. So if you want to dive in deeper to the domain side of these discussions, definitely follow Paige, definitely join and follow Domain Club, and you can go to domain.club, which is the website for Domain Club, for more information there as well. And with that, thank you, Paige, as always. We're back next Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Time here on Startup Club for another edition of the Name Game. We hope that you'll join us then and have a great week until then. Thanks, everybody.